Good evening, everyone. I am Katina Baldwin, and I am the Director of Development at the Coalition for the Homeless of Houston and Harris County, aka CFTH, if you're not into long names and acronyms that make your head spin. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Whether you're a longtime partner of this work or this is the first CFTH event for you, welcome. We are thrilled to have you. Please let me set the stage. The Way Home is our region's homeless response system. It's made up of more than 100 incredible organizations, all rowing in the same direction to end homelessness. And in doing so, not in silos. Since 2012, this coordinated effort has housed more than 32,000 people. It's one of the most effective systems in the country. And CFTH has the honor, and let's be honest, the giant spreadsheets, of coordinating it all. One of our biggest priorities at CFTH is education, because there are a lot of misconceptions out there about homelessness. We want to challenge those narratives, open some minds, and spark some kinds of partnerships that will actually move the needle. That's why we created CFTH Presents, a series designed to dig into the work, pull back the curtain, and introduce you to the real people and programs driving change. Tonight's topic, funding. Yes, we're going there. There's been a lot of noise about where federal funding dollars go and how they're used. So tonight, we're setting the record straight with client stories that inspire, programs that deliver, and organizations that know how to stretch a dollar so far they should win a gold medal in gymnastics. But before we dive in, I want to take a moment to thank a representative from Councilmember Castillo's office for attending this evening. Thank you so much. We appreciate your service and for being here tonight. I'd also want to express a heartfelt thank you and gratitude for the people who make this evening possible. A huge thank you to Court for sponsoring this year's series. This is the final installment of our fiscal year series, and it's been an absolute pleasure working with them. They support over 320 supportive housing organizations across 38 cities. That's not just furniture, they're helping create homes. We're also grateful to DNA Studios for bringing their creative magic to our events, and to our incredible speakers tonight, each of whom generously made their time in their already packed schedules to be here and share their wisdom, experience, and advocacy for the funding that keeps the system moving. And now it's my honor to introduce our speakers you'll be hearing from tonight. There's David Traxler, Executive Director of US Vets Houston, Sonia Corrales, Deputy CEO of the Houston Area Women's Center, Mike Smith, Chief Program Officer of Spring Branch Health Center, Renee Cavazos, Vice President of the Homeless Response System at CFTH. We might know her. And then first up was going to be Sandra Robichaux, but there was an issue this evening, so the lovely Madeline Wages thankfully stepped in for her with, I don't know, maybe an hour's notice. So we are incredibly grateful. She is the Director of Operations at Temenos, and I am going to let her come up and give her own bio. Speakers, just so that you're aware, we talked about an 8-minute thing, and the lovely Catherine brought her child's timer up here just to keep everyone moving well. So you'll press when you get started to keep on topic. And with all that, Madeline, thank you so much.
Thank you. Awesome, thank you. Let me go ahead and click the timer. So a lot of you guys were expecting Sandra Robichaux, our resilient executive director of Temenos CDC, but you are getting me, Director of Operations. My name is Madeline Wages. Thank you. I've been with Temenos I've been with Temenos CDC for almost 5 years now, and it has been a wonderful roller coaster. I would not change it for the world. Our programs are full of beautiful people, and I'm excited to speak about how federal funding provides for these beautiful people. So again, I'm standing in, so forgive me if I talk a little fast or I talk a little slow. So for those who don't know, Temano CDC is a nonprofit located in downtown Houston. We have 4 programs, 3 of which are federally funded, okay? 2 of those programs will address Houstonians who have experienced chronic homelessness, and by definition, that's either one year or more, right? And these Houstonians have also experienced active addiction, right? And so we're providing them a safe space so that way they can rehabilitate and work towards a better future. Our 3rd program is going to be our youth program, YHDP, our youth, our youth homelessness demonstration program. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we talk about the funding, right? But Temano CDC, we provide what's called permanent supportive housing, and we practice what's called trauma-informed care. So through trauma-informed care, we are providing these residents with permanent supportive housing that's access to food and hygiene, food insecurity, hygiene and household resources, as well as case management. And that's gonna be access to physical health, mental health, support groups and support systems. And so our goal is to get our residents off the street into a safe space where they can each get individualized programs so that way they can get better, right? We were founded in 2006, and I want to highlight what Sandra calls our Temano CDC MVP, and I think we have a really unique story. So you'll see here on the screen one of our programs. You have Gloria Eglin, and I was told I can use my phone for my notes, so I will actually pull that up now. That seems like that'll be good. So again, our MVP, Gloria Eglin, after sustaining a back injury almost 20 years ago, Gloria Eglin was forced into early retirement, and while searching for stable housing, she blew through her 401k and her savings, and that led her to live in her car without access to food on a regular, hygiene resources, and stability. After connecting with her pastor, Pastor Rudy Rasmus, who is in the, Pastor Rudy Rasmus, after connecting with him, she was able to get the help that she needed, and she was actually able to get into our program, Temano CDC. After being placed in Temano CDC, she received permanent supportive housing, right? So she got access to mental health care, she got access to food, she got access to stability, which allowed her to get back onto the right track and gain independence. After gaining independence, she transitioned out of Temano CDC, but she did not leave us. She did a U-turn and she came back to us as an employee. So very good. She's not here today, but yes, please. After achieving stability, Gloria Eglin came back to us as a resident assistant. So that means that she's interacting with our other residents on a daily basis. She's giving them the support and firsthand support as well. And she's giving them guidance, right? She's assisting them in acting basically as a liaison between client, case management, and resources, right? And I think that that's incredibly beautiful that she has since then dedicated her life and her employment to being back at Temanos. Let me see. Oh, and before I forget, as you can see on the screen, we did an interview with her so we could get some of that information, and she wanted to leave you guys with a note. And again, very beautiful. Gloria is currently working on the funding because she wants to start a small business here in Houston where she does landscaping. And her goal is to be able to employ some of the residents in our program, which will give them access to a stable job source, as well as experience, and they'll get the guidance from her as well. Again, she was once a part of the program, she's out of it, she can give them that support that they need, and so they get a second chance at employment, and again, I think that is incredibly awesome. Now, oh, here we go. So, the big part of why everyone is here, why is federal funding important? How does it impact our communities? Let me tell you. In order to tell you, I'd like to highlight one of our programs. So again, I mentioned we have 4 programs, 3 of which are federally funded. One of the programs I'm going to highlight is our youth program, and that's addressing Houstonians aged 18 to 24, and they're either aging out of foster care, they have some sort of developmental disability, and they're facing homelessness, and they've experienced it, right? Every day, Houstonian youths, they're experiencing those challenges, and that can include family disruptions, that can include resource instability, education. But these hardships, they're hard, right? And I think we all at some point can understand where they're coming from and that they need that extra help. It's Temano CDC's responsibility through this program to ensure that they have access to those resources, that support, and that stable living environment, so that way they can focus on these said things. We want them to move forward in life, and we want to be a part of that step. Upon entering our program, our participants go through a very nice and comprehensive mental health assessment. In that way, we can get that information back to our case managers, and our case managers can give each individual person their, hold on, let me look at the time. I don't know where the time went, but it's here. Someone start whistling, like, what is it, like the Emmys? Someone will whistle for me, please. But again, we want to give our youth residents the individualized plans, right? Not everyone is going to grow underneath the same conditions, and we want to make sure that we're setting each client up for success. Some of these skills, or some of these resources that we provide through permanent supportive housing, that's going to be mental health support, life skills development, job training, wellness programs. They have access to both group and individual therapy sessions, which I think is incredible. It gives them a chance to identify and talk about the things that are personal to them, while also being able to lean on others in their programs, right? We want to give that environment that you're not alone. We're here on every step of the way, and you have a support system. Some of the life skills that I mentioned that we touch on, those are going to be food demos. That's going to be hygiene demos. Things that they may not be comfortable asking their case manager or their friends directly, but they want to know and they don't know where to start. We got you covered. Additionally, we do partner with programs like the Texas Workforce to expand employment opportunities. And I would like to say that I'm very proud to report that in our federally funded youth program, 27% of our youth, again, ages 18 to 24, are now employed, and they're gaining income. When we gain income, you gain financial independence, you gain confidence, you gain a whole new world, right? You're able to purchase things on your own that, again, you may not be comfortable asking for. But I'm proud to present, again, 27%. That's a nice solid. Thank you. And then lastly, I want to leave you guys with this. Temano CDC's program, our success is defined by the lives that we impact, right? And so, again, I'm proud to present that in 2024, across all of our programs, we served approximately 150 households, okay, 150 households. And 26 of those 150 households exited our program because they achieved stable housing. Come on. Pretty cool, right? That means 27 people gained financial independence. That means 26 gained financial independence. They gained confidence. They gained stable housing. And they don't need us anymore. That's the whole point, right? We want to not be needed, but we are. The importance of federal funding. These success stories that I have shared with you guys today is crucial, because without federal funding, we would not exist. That's just point blank, right? We would not exist, and without it, our ability to provide vital services such as case management, mental health support, job training, life skills, again, healthcare access, peer support, stability, all of that, we wouldn't be able to touch these Houstonians. Our impact would be zero, and those 26 plus, again, the other, 124 people, they wouldn't have what they have now. They'd be in the elements. And so I just want to thank you guys for your time today. I want to thank you guys for coming out. I appreciate you for taking me and not Sandra Robichaux. And again, thank you guys for listening to the stories of how federal funding impacts communities like Houston. And and I would like to introduce the next speaker, David Traxler, who is with the U.S. Vets Association. David, turning this off. Oh, I didn't start it. I apologize. David, thank you so much. David Traxler.
Got me. Just want to say thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be here. Just a little bit about myself. My name is David Traxler. I am the Executive Director of U.S. Vets Houston. I am a retired Marine. I was lucky enough that my last duty station was here in Houston, so I got to retire in Houston, so I got to come back to the community and reconnect for retirement. Of course, I will say I think Houston is the greatest city in the nation. Little fact, when it comes to veterans, Houston has more veterans than any other city in the nation. It used to be San Diego, but Houston now has that distinction. And we as an organization provide service. We are the largest service provider to veterans across the nation. So U.S. Vets Houston, representing Houston and Texas, I will say about 65% of all of the services that we offer to veterans are federally funded programs through the VA. Matter of fact, we just recently got a new facility, well, probably about a year and a half ago. Our facility, about $2.5 million of the funds that it took to build that facility all came from federal dollars as well. The services that we offer a multitude of different services. We have 2 locations. This one's located on the northwest side of Houston, close to the Tomball area, and I would encourage you, if you're ever in the area, stop by and see it. It's a great partnership between us and the Tunnel to Towers, but we offer permanent housing as well as transitional support housing for veterans, targeting low income as well as unhoused veterans. And we do this through a multitude of full wraparound support services, case management services, behavioral health services. We do supportive services for veterans and families, so we do rapid rehousing, preventative health, housing assistance. A lot of the veterans that we work with have some kind of barriers in their backgrounds that keep them from getting permanent housing, and so we help them navigate that road so that they can find permanent supportive housing on their own. We also offer a great workforce department that has been very successful across the board in getting veterans jobs, and we do that by partnering with people within the community, businesses within the community, and it really builds the success for the veterans themselves. Our intent is to help the veteran remove whatever barrier they have in their life so that they can graduate through our program to be self-supportive in permanent housing. Our other facility that we have is located just right here out of downtown. It's right off of Old Spanish Trail and 288. All the services that we offer at our main facility, we also offer at our service center. Our service center is fully government supportive through the VA, so the service center would not be there would it not be for the federal funds that we do. And at that facility, we're serving literal homeless. We provide showers, washer and dryers. We have a clothing closet there. We provide breakfast and lunch 5 days a week. We do offer computer support. And it's interesting. There are a lot of veterans that just come by and drink coffee and watch TV throughout the day. But that's what we're there for. And it would be nice to say that if somebody was homeless and they had another opportunity that they would take it. But not everybody is at that place, and what we try to do at the service center is meet people where they are. Matter of fact, made me laugh. One of the guys that came through our permanent or our supportive transitional support housing had been coming to our service center for 10 years, and before he decided that, hey, I want to make a difference. And so, but that's what we attempt to do there. People can use it as their post office box. We collect mail, hand out the mail when veterans show up there. I do hate using the word homeless because it has a different face depending on your circumstances, and I am amazed the number of veterans that come through our transitional support program that have a substantial income. It's not like somebody necessarily living in a tent underneath 45. Even though we're serving people unhoused through all sorts of backgrounds. But I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Paige Johnson. Great success story. The first time I heard her story, I don't think there was a dry eye in the room. And I know I can't tell it as well as she did. But she was in the Army. When she got out, she was struggling with PTSD. And she decided to pursue education as a way to cope with her PTSD. And she graduated with her PhD. And I got a job in Florida and was sometime after that laid off. She had 5 kids. She was living between hotel and her car and decided to move to Houston because she thought there'd be better opportunities here. And she faced a lot of closed doors when she got here, and she was struggling through that. Luckily, she got introduced to U.S. Vets, and our workforce department, as soon as she met her, she connected her with all of our housing services. We got a rapid rehousing. Matter of fact, that program is fully funded by the government, as well as some support through our Texas Veterans Commission, which is a state-funded grant that we use. But also, our workforce department was able to work with her through several opportunities until she got her dream job, which now she is a professor at TSU. Like I said, tremendous story, not the normal face of people that you would normally see, and I do think there is a lot of stereotypes around working with homeless, for that reason. So this is a slide I wanted to show to you. It kind of encapsulates every program on this slide outside of our jobs placement program is fully funded by the government in some kind of way. Most all the funds that we receive are the bulk of them, like I said, 65% or a little more is all through the VA. Our permanent supportive housing actually comes through the COC through HUD funds. But this shows you the impact it has within our city, within our community, and the veterans that we touch. Like I said, it's the highest number of veterans in the nation are right here in the city. As you can see, last year we provided over 55,000 meals to veterans at our main facility. We're doing 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, all year long. Probably one of the most expensive programs that we do have on a monthly basis. And of course, to highlight some of the statistics on this, about 91% of the people exit our program into permanent housing, and a year after they've left, 91% are still in permanent housing. So this shows you the impact that the funds have within our community and the people that it regards. So again, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to talk and speak. I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Sonia Corrales. She is the Deputy Chief Executive Officer for the Houston Area Women's Center, coming with over 33 years of experience. So.
Hello, everyone. It is my absolute pleasure to be here with you tonight. I do want to say that the instructions on the PowerPoints was not to have any text. I'm just saying. So I think I followed the rules. That 15 seconds doesn't count. So my name is Sonia Corrales, as you know, and I'm the Deputy CEO at the Houston Area Women's Center, and I'm very proud to be working there. I've been in this movement for 33 years, and I wanted to share not only why I got into this movement, but also why I stay. So when I was in college, one of the things that I remember is I really want to bring awareness, to domestic abuse and sexual assault and sexual violence. So a lot of my work in college was bringing awareness about sexual assault. But as you go and you start working, I started working at the Women's Center right after college, that one of the things that I remember so much is that our house, our home, was that house where people came to. It was that house where we were like the refuge where people went, our relatives went, and with our aunts and our other relatives and the children. And so we were that safe haven. And I also remember my very best friend whose sister was sexually assaulted. And then I remember some of my other relatives who had been sexually abused by other relatives or by friends of the family. So I remember all of that, throughout my history here at the Women's Center. But one of the things that all of these things had in common was that none of it was documented anywhere. Nobody ever reported it. So all of those incidents and all of those situations that people went through were not part of any statistic that we know of, right? So we know that these types of crimes are very, very underreported. So I stay in this movement because part of it is to ensure that survivors have that voice and that we give them that voice and then we provide the support, that they need. Obviously, stopping the violence before it happens is our ultimate goal, and we are still on the mission to make that happen. But in the meantime, it's pretty prevalent. So we want to make sure that we're providing the services that we provide at the Houston Area Women's Center, which we look through a public health lens. This is a public health issue. And so we know that it is preventable. It is predictable, and it is preventable. And so I say that to say that this is still very near and dear to my heart. The Houston Area Women's Center has been around since 1977, and you can think about it in two big buckets. One of them is comprehensive client services. That's what we're known for. We provide lots of services in the community to survivors of domestic abuse, sexual assault, and trafficking. Have been providing services to sex trafficking since I have been there, since Kelly was there. Kelly was a former Hawk employee. We have a 24-hour hotline. That means that people have 24-hour access to services. We receive 50,000 calls a year. 50,000 calls a year from survivors who are needing help. We started by a group of volunteers and had a hotline where people called in, and we're still going strong today. During the pandemic, we added a chat feature because we knew that people were in situations at home where they were not able to use the phone. So we added that chat feature, and that has really, really blown up. It was also added because we knew that there were certain populations like youth who may not have access or did not really want to talk to anybody on the phone, but could do it, using this chat feature, and it has worked. We provide services, of course, in housing, and the housing stability is one of the most important services that we provide. But housing stability to many survivors means that it's homeless prevention. It is also emergency housing. It is rapid rehousing. It's permanent supportive housing. It's a menu of options that we want to make sure that we provide to survivors. Not everybody who calls our hotline needs emergency housing. The behavioral health, we talk a lot about behavioral health. We know that these types of issues carry lots of trauma, and it's short-term and it's long-term. And when it goes on, people don't seek help, then it becomes more of a complex, because a lot of times survivors continue to suffer abuse and suffer in silence. And so we want to make sure that people know that we're available and that reporting to the police is not a prerequisite of receiving services. Economic empowerment. So economic empowerment to us is very, very critical. 99%, we might as well say 100%, of survivors who come to us and that we talk to let us know that they have suffered financial abuse. And financial abuse, for many people, when they come, they have no idea that they were actually experiencing financial abuse. It's not just keeping or withholding information about how much is made in the household. It's not just not being allowed to work. But even if you work outside the home, it's also preventing you from having access to your own funds and your own money. It's also when somebody is prevented from going and furthering their education and not being able to gain employment or gain access to any of those things. That is also financial abuse. Domestic abuse has to do with power, and it has to do with control, with one partner is using those tactics against another to continue to maintain that power and that control. And our legal advocacy program provides support to survivors who are navigating that criminal justice system or navigating that civil justice system. A lot of times people stay in situations, or it's a barrier to leave because the children are used against them. We call that vicarious violence, because they use the children to keep them in a situation that continues to be violent, and the children are impacted. 40% of the clients that we serve are children. And so it's an opportunity for us to engage them in preventing future violence. The other part of the Women's Center is the public advocacy piece. And this public advocacy piece is not only bringing awareness, but it's also being involved in the legislature to ensure that we're changing laws, and we have a long history of that. The funding for us is so important. You know, the Houston Area Women's Center, 50% of our funding is government funding. So it might even be a little bit more than that now. Our budget is about $20 million. And about 80% of that government funding is federal funding. And we get a lot of federal funding to ensure that our services are provided to survivors. I mean, we have the Violence Against Women Act of 1994. A lot of our HUD funding is so critical to ensure that we're providing stability for survivors, housing stability, in addition to these other things. So, as I indicated before, domestic abuse is very, very underreported. But I'm going to share a story with you in 19 seconds that, a woman who reported domestic abuse. And so she called the Houston Police Department, one of our partners. One of the things that you'll always hear me say is that we do not do this alone. And so HPD has a program called the Domestic Abuse Response Team. And the Domestic Abuse Response Team provides support to survivors with an officer and a victim advocate from the police department. So they go out, they see the survivor, they come to us because the police can drive up to our center. She comes in, she gets housed, and for many survivors, one of the things that I really am very appreciative of HUD and all our advocacy is that they recognize that some survivors of domestic abuse are gonna need a little bit longer because they have high lethality. They have a higher chance of potentially dying. And so this transitional housing that we got, so we received transitional and RRH, or rapid rehousing, which is a new component, provides us with an opportunity to make sure that we are really wrapping those services around that survivor, and then partnering with other entities like the DA's office to ensure that they have a protective order, continued, with the police and other services, in the community. This particular client received all of those services. She was able to stay a little bit longer. But in addition to that, we were able to engage in a program with the Commissioner's Court, or actually it was Adrian Garcia, Commissioner Garcia, with the HETRA program in the Houston Community College. This is all part of that initial safety all the way to that long-term safety. So HETRA was able to, or HCC was able to provide that training. HETRA, which is the Harris County Toll Road Authority, was able to hire them as soon as the graduation occurred, and then be able to provide that opportunity to get promotions, within HETRA. And so that client is still employed. She went through that program. So it's a partnership. And when you have government saying this is important, and so that's the Commissioner's Court, and you have organizations like ours, and then you have HETRA, which is the opportunity to hire, and then of course you have higher education. When everybody works together in community, then that's how we can be successful. And so this person is economically better off and ultimately stable. All right, thank you. All right. Mike Smith. Can I get a drum roll, please? So Mike Smith is the Chief Program Officer of the Spring Branch Community Health Center. And if I could read that, I would totally read it, but I cannot see. So you're going to have to.
All right. Thank you so much. Apparently, I'm someone who needs no introduction. I'll take that. Okay, let me see. Get started here. I was told there would be no multitasking. Am I going in the wrong direction here? I'm going backwards. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, so go. All right. Can we call timeouts if we need to? I'm nervous now. All right, so my name is Mike Smith. I am the Chief Program Officer with Spring Branch Community Health Center, and I want to thank you guys. I'm happy to share the stage with these amazing organizations, many of whom we partner with through our services as well. So I'm really honored to be on stage to talk about how federal funding not only impacts our supportive housing program, but our healthcare structure, and ultimately our entire community. So, Spring Branch Community Health Center is a federally qualified health center. Raise your hand if you know what that is. Yay! I don't have to talk about it much. It means that we get part of our funding from the federal government for the health component. About 20% of our entire budget on our healthcare side comes from the federal government. We've been doing that program for about 20 years. Actually, we turned 21 this month. We celebrated with our first margarita a few days ago. I promise not before then. But providing healthcare services as a nonprofit for 20 some odd years is quite an accomplishment. And we've been able to do it on a very slim budget because the federal government doesn't just kick money your way. They typically try to find a way to hold it. So we've been providing that service for a while with the main goal, our tagline, healthy families, healthy communities. And so that's been our whole purpose of what we've been about. We've gotten to the supportive housing program about 4 years ago. So we're babies compared to some of the organizations that have been doing this. We jumped in feet first. We had to learn a lot when we got involved in the program. Accounting practices, we had to learn how to deal with management, companies. We had to change some of the ways that we did things. We had to learn a whole lot of acronyms, ELOCs, eSNAPs, PSH, HP, RRH, YHDP, OMG. We had to do quite a bit. But we dove right in. Our CEO came to us at the time and said, Mike, is this something we can do? My knee-jerk reaction is always yes. Yes, we can do it. And then I thought about it. I don't know anything about housing. I had to learn quite a bit. And I said, yes, we could do it if we had good people and we had good support systems. We have good people. They're sitting over here right now. One of the things that we, knew jumping into housing, it would change a few things, but one of the fundamental things that did not change was how we worked with each individual we served. Wraparound services. We literally hug individuals that come into our facilities for health care. And so we really work hard to provide what we call health equity. Equity is getting a bad rep right now. We continue to provide that services. Equity. And why is it important? It's important because of individuals like Hannah, right? Come to us under some pretty serious circumstances, fleeing some violence. We work with organizations, as I mentioned, to kind of help with that. Jumping through hoops, trying to find ways to connect. We get them into our program, we attach them to one of our amazing case managers, and then we connect them through our healthcare services to the LCDC services that she needs, which is pretty important, which is why we're uniquely qualified to bring someone in through the supportive housing side of our business and connect them to the health side of our business to really hit the stability that you hear a lot of individuals talk about. The housing, the health. Now let's move on to all the other things that we can help you build upon. So it's super, super important. And with Hannah, we have had her in the program for over a year, and so she's one of those individuals that we really love to talk about. She's maintained her housing. She's learned how to deal with her coping instead of turning to drug. She's enrolled in college. She has a job, and we helped her to reconnect with her family, right? Check, 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 check. Everything that we're supposed to do when someone comes into our program. So we're crazy excited about that. And I ask our team on a weekly basis, and in fact, every time we have a board meeting, I say, I need stories, give me stories, give me stories. So when I was told, share a story, I had a number to go through because we're always looking at the successes, and that's super important to what we're trying to do. So our program, it's not just about a roof, right? It's not just about a Band-Aid, right? Certainly when you come into our programs, you get those things. But it's the other services that are wrapped around. So we talk about chronically this, chronically that. So we're dealing with chronically homeless. We're also dealing with chronically ill individuals. You couple those two things together, that's a formula for disaster, right? Our goal is to get folks back into the system, get them stably housed, get them connected to health care, and then get them stable, right? That's our whole purpose for doing these things. If we do those things, we will see improved health outcomes. It's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. This is not a myth. This is not a guess. This is a guarantee. In fact, some of the individuals that we've worked with, we've seen them change, literally. I'm looking at the clock. I don't see the time. I think I'm doing good, I hope. We've seen them change in the way that they physically look once we got them in the housing, got them connected to the care that they need, the way that they physically have changed. They stand up a little bit taller. They're working with their families a little bit better. It's just been an amazing process to see these individuals come into our program and then help them with our staffing, help them grow into the people that we know they are, right? So it's really important for us to do that. And of course, we talk about Maslow. If you don't have housing and you don't have proper health care, nothing else matters. We're supposed to get individuals connected to income, get them connected to schooling, get them connected to some way that they can become stable. If we don't do the first two things, none of the other things matter. And I think we all agree there, because you can't focus on getting a job if you're living under a bridge, right? So it's really, really important for us. So why does the federal funding matter? I know this isn't a fundraising event, it's a fund continuation event, so hopefully it will hit someone's ear who needs to hear this, but it enables the comprehensive care model. It allows us to do the work that we do. It allows us to wrap ourselves around an individual that comes into our facility with housing, right? Then with health care, whatever that looks like, and then help them move on to be stable, productive members of the community. That's what's important, and that's what we're working on. Everyone kind of assumes that individuals who are homeless are a certain type of person, right? It's a misnomer. It's not true. I learned a lot of that in the last 4 years. These are really individuals who really need help and support. A leg up, get them started, get them going, and then they're off and they're on their way, right? So we continue to do that. It funds our case managers, which we could not do that without the federal funding. It supports the continuity of care, and that's really important for us, is the continuity of care. Just making sure that the individuals that we bring in, that we're really connecting with, not pushing them off to some other organization, but we're actually sitting there, working with them, helping develop their plans, helping them to get on their feet, and hopefully helping them get to the point where they're ready to move off onto their own. That's our ultimate goal. And it bridges the gap for those that are unserved, the invisible, right? The people that we don't see, the people that are standing on the corner that we kind of divert our eyes from because we don't want them to ask us for anything. Those are the people that we welcome. Those are the people that we want. Those are the people that we serve. Those are the people why we're here, right? That's our whole mission. That's our whole goal. That's why we started 21 years ago. That's why we got into housing, and that's why we hope we can continue this type of work. So the real impact, clients get the safe housing. We talked about regular care, stability, reduced ER visits. It's no joke. You come into an FQHC, we connect you to care, especially chronically ill patients, taking care of someone who has high blood pressure, diabetics, those types of things. It's very costly. In our system, it's a lot less costly. We can help people maintain that. So we do reduce ER visits. We help improve chronic disease management, and then we ultimately get individuals towards self-sufficiency. So the prior part of my presentation had a lot of feels in it. I'm right-brained. This is for the more analytical people in the room who like to see numbers. Let me change my voice here. FQHCs in the healthcare system, we serve roughly we save the healthcare system 24 to 33% annually. So here in Houston, there's a number of FQHCs. We kind of fall within that average. We, Spring Branch, we serve 29,000 patients. We serve on average, we save $1,500 a year per patient, and we save the overall healthcare system roughly $30 million a year. So we do have an impact. So the dollars that we receive into our FQHC, into our supportive housing program, is a legitimate investment. Your return on your money is unspeakable. It's amazing the amount of return you get just by the savings we get by bringing individuals into the program. So I urge whomever needs to hear this to continue to fund these programs, continue to help be the spokesperson for the federal dollars. Why? Because they work. These programs work. These programs are saving lives. These programs are bringing the invisible into being visible and being served. You've heard everyone on the stage talk about the successes of some individual that would not be there if these funds were not there. So it's important to continue this process, right? I'll pass the plate if we need to, but I want to make sure that people understand how important this is. And ultimately, it wraps us all the way back around to our goal of healthy families, healthy communities. Together, that's our goal. That's what we're accomplishing in our side of the world. Thank you. And now, Renee Cavazos, Vice President of the Homeless Response System for Coalition for the Homeless.
All right, I'm ready. Timer. All right, thank you. Thank you all for being here tonight. This is so exciting. Thank you to the partners. It's so nice to see everyone. And to the persons with lived experience or lived expertise, whether it's known or unknown, thank you for being in the room with us today. Before I dive into the work, I just wanted to share a little bit of my why I do this work, and for me, it's really personal. I am a parent, and like many of you, I want my kids to grow up in a world that feels safe and connected and full of possibility. But kids have a way of asking questions that stop you in your tracks. And for me, my children always ask when they see somebody living unsheltered or in the corner, they ask, why does that person not have a home, Mom? And in those moments, I'm reminded it's not about funding, it's about dignity. It's about creating a world that reflects the values we want in our children and the next generation to carry forward. A world that feels more human and a little bit more homey. That's why I do this work and why I believe so deeply in the systems we're building together. So that is what brings me here today to represent the Coalition for the Homeless, a nonprofit brings together people, providers, and partners to solve homelessness across our region. We lead efforts like rapid rehousing and outreach services. We communicate with the public and better advocate for housing policies. We also secure funding, private, philanthropic, and local governments, and help our region go further than what federal dollars can do alone. Think of us as the team behind the scenes, helping moving all the parts and work together. If you ever watch the show Friday Night Lights, you know the phrase, clear eyes, full hearts can't lose. That's the energy we bring to the work. Not seeking the spotlight, but focus on making sure our system has what it needs to succeed. Because when our system is aligned, informed, and supported, it can do incredible things for real people. Coalition for the Homeless also serves as the HUD-designated lead agency for a region's homeless response system. HUD calls it Continuum of Care, or COC. Locally, we call it The Way Home. In this role, we coordinate the regional plan to reduce homelessness. We manage the data systems, oversee the housing referral or coordinated entry process, help providers improve outcomes, and lead, my favorite, our annual HUD funding or NOFO competition process. Working alongside our partners, we act as both the offense and defensive coach, helping call the plays, and the equipment manager, making sure everyone on the field has what they need to succeed. Whether it's planning, data, or funding, we help the system move toward one shared goal for everyone in our community to have a safe place to call home. When people hear homeless services, they often hear or think of shelters or direct services like food, clothing, and showers, all very important, but the system is much broader than that. It includes outreach, crisis response, housing navigators, rental assistance, data systems, hour-long planning meetings, and much more. HUD funding supports not just individual programs, but the infrastructure that connects them. Our job is to ensure that those parts work together. No duplication, no gaps, every dollar doing real work. And as a COC lead agency, some of our work includes governance, strategic planning, the COC steering committee, technical assistance, the Homeless Management Information System, or HMIS, coordinated entry, consumer engagement, the NOFO, of course, and the point-in-time count. We actually run one of the largest point-in-time counts in the country that expands 3 days. And so the funding helps cover the strategy and gaps that inform those systems moving forward. HUD also provides funding for YHDP, as you heard earlier, the Youth Homeless Demonstration Project. Locally, we manage the local competition. When funds are awarded, they go directly to the providers for the most part. We monitor performance, offer support, and ensure getting results. These dollars support case managers at these providers, rental assistants, outreach teams, youth housing, and support services. Little actually goes to the operations for some of these agencies. In some cases, the coalition is also the direct grantee for system-level projects like HMIS and coordinated entry.
So what makes Texas 700 successful? I think we get asked this all the time. What is the secret sauce? We are nationally recognized for our performance and efficient use of funds. We have strong partnerships with local providers and government. We focus on measurable outcomes. We are data informed. We will spend afternoons looking at data and pulling queries. There is no I in a team. We are one team. When a partner is awarded through the COC, we all celebrate. Trust me, I am there cheering you on when those NOFA results come out. When we lose funding, we try to find gaps and help support those programs moving forward. Our coordinated approach has consistently earned competitive funding from HUD through the FY24 NOFO alone. Our pre-award was around $71.6 million for our community. Every year, we serve around 22,000 people across the continuum of care. We consistently exceed or meet benchmarks, and we are bringing in new streams to scale what works and reach more people. Federal funding provides the foundation for long-term planning and intentional crisis response. But as clouds loom on the horizons, policy shifts, budget debates, we're keeping our eyes open and our plans flexible. We're in this for the sustained, measurable results. That means thinking ahead, preparing for change, and evolving with purpose. It means not just reacting to crisis, but designing a system to weather it. We're exploring ways to build up provider capacity, expand prevention efforts, and strengthen the connection between housing, healthcare, and workforce supports. And we're doing that while staying rooted in what matters, which is the people. Progress isn't a spreadsheet. It is the mother who gets to tuck in her kids at a night, either in a shelter or a permanent supportive housing or rapid rehousing program. It's the young person aging out of foster care who gets a key instead of a crisis. With every partner, every project, and every effort, we're working to make our region a place where everyone has the opportunity to come home no matter what's coming next. Because as my kids like to remind me, that's empathy 101. So whether we're calling the plays or running the systems behind the scenes, we're here for one purpose: to bring people home and to help the whole team win. Because at the end of the day, this is a team sport. And with the right strategy, the right support, and the right partners on the field, we believe every win brings us closer to making the greater Houston region the first major metro and one of the largest COCs in the country to end street homelessness for good. Thank you. And I beat the timer. I'm going to shut it off before it beeps. All right. Well, thank you. I'd like to introduce our leader, and I cannot say many things because I'll probably start crying, but our CEO and President, Kelly Young.
God, you're fabulous. You are so fabulous.
Yes.
All of you are fabulous. Okay, before we get started, you have to indulge me. Everybody stand up. All right? Heads up. Right? I want them up. And I want you to give yourselves the loudest round of applause you can find in your heart and your soul. Now. Yeah. Because I don't know about you, but I'm getting a little sick and tired. I've been telling that we're, not doing enough, and it's not good enough, and all the things we get told on a regular basis. And that is why we did what we did tonight. It's why we brought everybody here, and we're spending some time talking about what the federal dollars do, what we do with them, and how we really affect and change the world. So I just wanted you to make sure that you knew the love and you felt the love, because all of you make such a huge difference in your work every day, and you don't always get told that. You get told a lot of times that it's not enough. There's all these doom and gloom that's going to happen. We show up with purpose. We do what we're supposed to do. It will all work out, right? All right, go ahead and sit down. You can relax. All right, so why are we here tonight? One of the things I think is most important, I hope you got from the evening, is that there is a difference between rhetoric and information. And tonight what we wanted to give you was information. We are very successful at what we do.
We know what to do. We use data. We're pragmatic. We do all the things everybody tells us that we're supposed to do, and we do it better than most people. So I don't want you to walk out of this room without knowing that you should be proud of every single thing that you have accomplished, not just for the people you serve, but for each other as partners, a part of the system. Because as most people pointed out throughout the night, we do this together. The second thing is that I want you to walk away knowing that there is focus versus nonsense. And we're focused. We don't care about the nonsense, right? We do good, hard work. We have done it all along. And we do not have to worry about what other people think and say we're not doing. But that doesn't mean we can't do it better, because we all show up every single day with that thought in our minds, don't we? I don't know a single person in the room that doesn't go, I wonder if we could do this. I wonder, who said it? We say yes. Yes. We say yes every single time. And when we do that, what that means is that all the people, everybody required under the federal funds, gets served. Those are our neighbors. Those are our coworkers. Those are our service members, our family, all of those individuals. Mental health, substance use, tragedy, whatever has happened in their lives, we show up for them, and we ensure that that door is open so they can walk through it. We already know, we already do what is talked about not being done. So everybody talks about, well, the people you don't care about and the people you're not spending time on. We just demonstrated again tonight that through all of the federal funding and everything that we do, we serve everyone, wherever they start, wherever they need to go, and help them get where they need to be. And that means that we sit with people who are in mental health issues, that have substance use issues, that have tragedies that happen in their lives, and we wrap around the services and ensure that it's not just a home and it's not just a room, it is a place to start where you get to be who you want to be by the end. And when we do that, we're doing what communities are asking us to do. And that's what I want to make sure everybody understands about what the federal dollars do. They are doing what the community asks us to do. We do it quietly, we do it every day, we show up in ways that nobody knows, because that's not why we do it. We do it because that's what we're supposed to do, it's why we're here, it's what the funding is for. The last thing I want to say, though, before I bring up everybody for questions, is we can do more, right? We can do more, but we need more. We cannot do more with less. And I'm tired of having people ask us to do that. So please stop asking us to do more with less and show up in the ways that we need everybody to show up. And let's do what we know we can do best, which is continue the great work that the federal dollars fund, do all the work in the community, get people involved, and get people moved on with their lives. So thank you so much for coming out tonight. I really, really appreciate it. And with that, I should have set my timer. I do want to invite all the presenters up to the stage, and we will open up for Q&A. A couple things. Please keep your questions to what we talked about tonight. We really can't go into too many off-topic areas. And if you have any other comments or questions you have for the audience, just ask them afterwards. So if I can have Mike and David and Sonia. And then if anybody has questions for any of them about the work they do or how they do it or anything that you want to know about their great service, we're going to have you go ahead and ask the questions in the audience.
No, just the cable.
This is for mine. Oh, good. Okay. Which one am I? I have two now. Am I supposed to have two?
Yeah, I'll do one for questions. Let's see, we might have to mush the seats together a little bit. Oh, no, I don't think so. Let's see. Do you have enough space? Do you mind scooching over just a little bit so we can scoot everybody?
Okay, let's watch all of us.
We're all just going to scooch to one side a little here. All right, thank you. All right, raise your hand and I will bring the microphone. We'll take questions from the audience. We should have planted a question to get people started. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself before you ask your question.
Hi, my name is Lorianne, and I'm the founder of M&M Networking and Referral and part of Free Homeless Information. And what I would like to know is, it's about veterans. Okay, I have a young man that's in his 30s, almost 40s. He has a lot of mental issues from the war that he was in, and he needs services. He really does. He's homeless, but I don't know exactly how to handle him sometimes. And I was listening to you about the services that you have, and I was thinking maybe that might be able to help him, because he is one that used to guard the people so that they could sleep, and he's just totally different, and I don't know what to do sometimes.
You leave tonight.
Yes,
Okay. And we got a great outreach team. They're the first point of contact for any veteran that we serve, and they do a full assessment. As with anybody we probably all serve, rarely does one person or somebody need just one service. If they're in a situation where they're contacting us, there's a multitude of services that they need. And we build great partnerships across the board, and I'm always amazed the number of times that we're serving veterans and U.S. Vets provides 0 services, but we're connecting them to the people that they need to be in touch with.
My name is Gregory Dredd, and I serve on the COC board and some other boards, numerous other boards. But my question is, when I look at the question with this topic, how federal funding actually fights homelessness. And my question is to each of you individually in your organizations that you represent, because we live in such a polarized political and economic environment right now, what is your 4-year plan? Because we understand we have 4 years with the current administration, and with DOGE and all those things going on, how do you see, right now we might be able to survive because we might still have some of that COVID funding left over, but what is the goal when we get to 2027? Because the next presidential election is when? 2028? Or no, yeah, 28. So I'm just curious, what are your organizations doing to streamline, look for additional private funding, and to restructure some of your funding opportunities to make sure we're still meeting the needs of individuals that are out there experiencing homelessness, and making sure the ones that we have housed, that they can remain housed?
Of course, they give the microphone to me first. So, 4 years from now, we're trying to get through next week. I'll be honest. So we hear every day that some funding is paused or held or cut or moved. We have a number of cancer prevention programs. We have an HIV testing program. We have our housing program. We have a number of things where we're always looking, as of right now, we're looking to see how do we continue these. So we're nimble. We're a smaller agency. We're able to kind of switch and say, okay, you know what, if we divert funds from here, and this is not even talking about yet the possible cuts to Medicaid, which will impact a number of healthcare organizations. We sit down and think about how much can we absorb, what can we do to continue our services. We have yet to talk about cutting a service, and that's kind of where we stand today. I would love to talk to you next week and say, yes, we're still doing that. I would love to talk to you in a year and say we survived it. COVID money's gone, it's been gone, so we don't have that pot to lay on anymore. But we are really looking at ways to make sure that we don't have to cut back on any programs. And that's through other private foundations, other funders that we work with as well. So our goal is to continue and to maintain.
For Temano CDC, we anticipated a bad day, and so we started moving and speaking with private funders a year ago. And so we have been making those small steps. I think everyone up here can agree it's very hard. And so we were constantly having people come through our door. we also looked at our programs, we looked at our budgets, and we thought, okay, how can we maximize our other organizations in Houston? How can we maximize our community? We rely heavily on volunteer services for some of those program supplies. And so that money that we save for program supplies, we can put that towards something else, whether that be the on-site therapy, individual and group that we provide, or maximizing our donations. A small example, and I know everyone else has to speak, so I'll blow through this real quick. We provide food. We combat food insecurity, and so we have an on-site pantry that is open to all of our programs every day of the week. They can come and go as they please. They can get a couple items, and one of the things that we did was, instead of spending money on snacks or food, we maximized other organizations that provide those foods, and we vacuum seal them. We date them, we identify what's in there, and we got a really nice commercialized freezer, and our residents are able to go in and out, and that's a way for them to get groceries, and it's a way for us to save some money, right? We're still giving them access to that food resource, but we're not spending our own money. We're just making sure that we're making everything stretch. So little things like that for us, we've been doing. If we can cut back here and maximize our resources, that's what we're gonna do.
One of my funders, I was listening to him talk, and he made the point to me. He said, I may not be able to give you $10,000, but maybe I can save you $10,000. And I have taken that to heart over the last year. Last year, we lost 3 different grants, 2 federally funded grants and a state grant that totaled almost $1 million. We still offer all 3 of those programs, and we haven't skipped a beat in doing it. But I believe in building partnerships. The same way I believe churches should be working together because they're all on the same road, I believe that we as nonprofits, we're all trying to make our communities better. We need to be working together. And I have 2 different funders that bring every nonprofit that they're in once a quarter just to stick everybody in the same room. And it's amazing the programs that we offer that we can supplement by somebody else's work. And I laugh because it makes us look like we're doing the work, but somebody else actually is. And just to give you, for instance, somebody called me and says, hey, I want to give money to the Museum of Fine Arts, but I told them they needed to create a program that will benefit you. And so we're not getting any money, but somebody's bringing a therapist and doing art therapy on our site, and so, and that's nothing from us, but I think that we've got to think outside the box on how we do our programs.
She thought you make me do it.
All right. That's a really good question. Let me just tell you. I want to say that, so our organization is a $20 million organization. So if we don't have the federal funds, we cannot provide the services. Everybody is trying to diversify funding right now. And so we do it as much as we can. So a lot of our HUD dollars go directly to some kind of financial assistance for survivors. So that means paying their rent. That means paying their deposits. That means purchasing furniture. That means all of those things. And without that federal funding, we won't be able to do that. We just will not be able to do that. Now, we can try diversify as much as we can, but that means that every single nonprofit is going to be doing the same thing. Going after, their corporations and really knocking on their door, give us a little more, give us a little bit more. But you can't really do that. And for me, I think it's really holding on to the idea that we're still trying to do the right thing in our community and keep fighting for it and using our representatives and really doing this public policy work and advocating on behalf of the people who really need the help. Because if we don't get the help, if the funding stops at the federal level, at the state level, we could go more at at the state level and even at the local level that may not impact that federal level, but we're all going to be doing that. If it stops, it doesn't mean that in our center, domestic violence, sexual assault, all that is not going to stop. It probably is might even get worse. So, I'm gonna hold on to. We're gonna keep fighting for what is needed in our community.
So this is an interesting question because I have a lot of my team in the audience who may not have heard all this from me on a regular basis. So on a really, really good day, I think of this as our 2012. So 2012 is when the COCs really got serious and came together and built out the structures and put this together and then built the money. And so on a good day, I'm like, yeah, 2025 is our 2012. We get to rise to the occasion. We get to figure this out. We get to move forward. We get to reinvent ourselves. We get to think through how to do it better. How do we add on? Because I'm somebody who thinks every day that I could do something better. Like, there's 100 billion ways to do anything, so there's got to be a better way to do this. On a bad day, what I realize is that the 22,000 people that we serve every year will not be served. The 7,000 people who are in PSH placements now won't have a home. And we literally will go back to probably one of the worst situations we could be in. And I don't know, from a very pragmatic standpoint, I'm not sure people understand the depth of what we, particularly in the southern states, including Texas, rely on federal funding to create the safety net for the people in our community. Houston has a 40% rate of people considered ALICE, basically one paycheck away from disaster, very high levels of poverty. And the state doesn't put in a lot of money. And the local, they put in as much as they can, but a lot of that money is federal. And so when you remove there without a replacement, you're going to have to see the devastation before you decide, or we all decide, that that is not the world we want to live in. And that if I'm going to pay one way or the other, I would rather pay knowing that all of these lovely organizations that I get to work with and do the amazing work they're doing, that's what we're paying for. It's not going to waste. It's paying for our ability to move our society forward. That's all we've spent the last 13 years doing and all that money on. And so in my mind, I wake up about 3 o'clock in the morning every once in a while, and I'm like, what am I going to do with all these lovely partners and all these people I've known forever? I mean, I know David. Sonia and I worked together. We were managers together, and I know what the devastation will be. And I have to be very thoughtful to what that means when I'm telling the story. Because on a good day, it all works out. And we keep going, and everybody comes to their senses, and we go, this makes sense, and we can go where we need to go, and we're going to figure it out, and we'll keep going. And I would rather focus on that, but I don't want to lie about it. Those hard days are hard days. These are moments when we really are making clear decisions about who we are as a society, what we care about, who we will show up for, and that we're willing to pay for that, whether it's federal, whether it's a local tax. I don't think there's a single person in this room that would not pay 10 cents more on their highfalutin, whatever drink you had on Cinco de Mayo, or whatever. You wouldn't even notice it. But just that little piece of tax on top of something could yield enough money that when we have a hit like this, we know we won't fall into huge suffering. That we could reconvene and combine what we're all doing together, because we have a sustainable, regular amount that's coming in, that it's not at the whim of anybody. It's all at the will of everybody who's willing to pay it. So it's just an interesting time in our lives where we can decide so much about where we could go and what we could be, and take some control of that, knowing that at any given minute, any one of us has to make a really, really hard decision. So it's not super sunshiny. I've been very doom and gloom today. I have to say, I started out my morning that way. I was like a Debbie Downer at my first meeting, and I'm going to end my night that way. I should probably go get a super fluffy drink for my Cinco de Mayo. I'll pay 10 cents more. I will do it. I swear to God. So, but thanks for the question. I think the honesty of it in the moment is heartbreaking and heart-filling. You just have to keep that in balance. Yep. Oh, good. But I'm going to grab somebody else real quick. All right, and then we make sure that we get somebody else.
So the follow-up, real quick, is how can each one of us individually and lived experience individuals within each of your organizations be capitalized to impact the federal funding and speaking? What would you suggest for each of your organizations, how you can capitalize on those individuals that have lived experience to be able to interact or integrate to be a voice of advocacy? How best to do that?
You know, one of the things when you do advocacy work, you realize very early on, most people don't know anything. They have no idea. And they're surprised when you come and talk to them. So I think the first thing is get over the assumption that people have come to a conclusion or a decision or know something or understand something, and really be available to have that dialogue. And let people ask questions that to you might first of all seem like, well, they should know that. Well, they don't know it. I mean, you know, most of us don't sit around I don't know anything about mechanical engineering because I'm not a mechanical engineer. So if I sat in a room with them, I'd be like, I don't know what that means. And so it's really being open to dialoguing, even if they say things that you're like, I can't believe you just said that to me. Like, they're gonna say stuff. And then second of all is be well-versed in how things get done. That's the rhetoric versus information. That's the, honesty versus the nonsense. We are really good at knowing a lot of things. We're not really good at understanding a lot of things. And so I think that's another piece, is really do some deep diving. It's really easy to watch 4 videos or listen to, a podcast or something else and think you know something. You don't. You really need to do some deep dive and understand so that you provide good information and you show up for people so they know what to do.
All of that. Well, one other thing that I was thinking about when Kelly was talking about that is that people with lived experience offer so much. It's more than the story, right? So being able to, as people sitting up here and other organizations who are in charge, one of the things that is very important, at least to me in my experience and the history of working in this movement, is that without the voice of people with lived experience, we cannot get ahead. And it's the voice at the advocacy level to ensure, that we're getting the funding, ensuring that you're sitting around task forces, you're sitting around committees or boards, making sure that story is represented. And I think that also is very important in addition to everything that Kelly said.
The only thing I was going to add in regards to a member of lived experience or any board members in the audience is if you hold a seat at one of the agencies on a board, if you haven't already, begin contingency planning. It's a good exercise to do all around, whether you've done it in the past few months. We provided a draft contingency plan for the COC a few months ago. Use it as a template. Doesn't hurt to have these conversations, these just-in-case conversations within your organization.
I don't have a whole lot to add other than the fact that I love the people with lived experience, because there's a different level of passion there. And even people that work for me, that's one thing having a veteran help a veteran, but a veteran that's been through the program, night and day different kind of service provided, and a different connection that is built across the board, because it's a story that you connect to. So,
for Tembano CDC, a little thing that we did to make sure that we were connecting and utilizing those with lived experiences, making sure that we were easily digestible. And so our team, we all have a card that has a QR code on there, and it's just a very quick bullet point of our mission, what we do, who we serve, and what we want to do. And so anytime our team, we're engaging with others, we're encouraging our team to say, hey, again, we're talking about Tembano CDC, scan this, and it's something that someone can read later on. It auto-populates on their phone, and they can share their information back. And we've really emphasized on saying, getting that information and reaching out and saying, hey, it's Madeline. I met you at, so-and-so. Have you had a chance to read about Tembano CDC and what we do? Do you have any questions? Come on down to campus and let's do a tour. Our doors are open, and we're constantly encouraging people to come through and speak and learn.
Period. No, advocacy and education. I mean, that's really what we focus on. I mentioned earlier, we try to educate our board on what the programs are all about. We have a whole medical side of our organization that we have our team going around talking to explain what supportive housing actually is and what it isn't. And learning what it is just as important as learning what it isn't. And so we spend a lot of time making sure folks understand. The lived experience part of it is crucial because, again, some people have just a very clear thought of what a homeless individual is, an unhoused individual is, where they come from, what they're bringing. And we've had to educate our own staff on what they're not and what they can be. And so it's hugely important for us. So maybe I'll see you soon.
I'm also going to add, if you're feeling fired up about defending federal funding for homelessness services, the National Alliance to End Homelessness, their website is endhomelessness.org. They have advocacy alerts that go out pretty regularly whenever something comes up. That's a great newsletter to be part of, and they'll tell you when it's time to call your members of Congress. And also in our post-event survey, there's going to be some QR codes around. We'll also email everybody. We'll give you a chance to sign up to be a local advocate, a Houston advocate for our work.
So I write a lot better than I speak. And I've been around this space for about 15, and I was trying to figure out how to ask a question, but it really is a challenge, if anything. I've been around this space now for about 15 years between the Housing Authority and the Coalition, and currently serve on the board, and my claim to fame is chairing the committee that invited Kelly to lead our organization to the next level, and thank you, Kelly. But to your point, share your story. We unfortunately live in a time, and we've seen this coming, we've been fighting it for years at the state level, and it's now contaminated at the federal level, is we're in a time where there's another group that I'm part of, and it's a bunch of old guys and men and women like me who really right now we're seeing for the first time, if we can't agree what the facts are, then we can't agree what should be. So we can't agree what it is, we can't agree what it should be. But that doesn't mean, as I've taught my kids, not to stand with a fist. Do not back down. I just ask you, the data will tell us what should happen. Stick to it. It's not going to work right now. It is what it is. But don't back down. Tell your story. There are stigmas and stereotypes and narratives out there that are not driven by data, that the lies that accompany those suggest that they are, and it's just not true. I would also encourage you, and this is probably not going to get me in trouble because I don't care, is call out lies. Just flat use the word "you're lying," because that's about all you can do right now. So don't get discouraged. It will be okay, but it's going to take all of y'all doing what you're doing, and I can't tell you how thankful I am for it. And I think I have a little bit of time left in my tenure at the board, so you can't kick me off yet. But thank you all for being here. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you, Kelly, for taking all this responsibility. So.
Well, thank you for selecting me for the world's greatest job.
So I think we've got time for one more question, and then we'll maybe do closing thoughts.
All right.
Yes, I'm Charlotte Garner, and I've been around these rooms and this type of work for about 17 years. I'm on a lot of boards nationally, internationally. My thing is this. A lot of things have been administrated out, thought out, strategized out. And certainly the lived experience storytelling has been the greatest fundraising tool since sliced bread. However, I stand before you today. I have a master's in nonprofit. So my question is this. At this point, with this crisis that we're facing now, is it not time for the lived experience individual with the capability and understanding of what you do, maybe an investment to be made in them and put them on the front line?
100% it is, yes. Yes. I think we recognize the importance of having lived expertise within the COC at all levels, and not just at input, at board levels, at supervisor levels, there should be individuals with lived experience at the table helping to make decisions. And I think through that, one of the goals through our Consumer Advisory Council is to offer professional development for lived experience individuals, because there is opportunity for you to grow within this world and to speak and advocate for yourself and for the population as well.
No, go ahead.
And to piggyback off of that, with Temano CDC, I spoke about Gloria Eglin, our resident assistant, how she originally came to us as a resident, then turned into an employee. But with our supportive services program, our team, we have a position called a peer specialist, and we specifically go out and we vet those with lived experiences, and we give them a chance to come on board as an employee and guide and act as a peer specialist, or a peer specialist support. And so I can speak at least for our programs, they're getting access to someone with lived experience who can give them the understanding, the empathy, and the love that they need while they're navigating this program and this new step of life. So we emphasize that at Temano CDC.
And all I can say is yes, ma'am. Absolutely. We just had a conversation today, our youth manager, Rhonda, we were talking about filling a position, and basically our common statements are, do they have lived experience? Do they bring some of the information that we need to the table to understand the folks that we're working with? As an FQHC, our board is a community-based board, which means 51% have to be users of the clinic. So when we make decisions, we're making decisions that impact real people, not just the retirees, the lawyers, the folks who make up the other part of our board. So we've been in the business of doing that for a while. Getting into the supportive housing programs just really emphasized that for us. So the young man that we did hire for outreach, who's moved into a case management role trained by Rhonda, actually had lived experience, and he's worked his way up to become more of a vital part of our program. So we believe in it wholeheartedly, and so we'll continue on that path.
The only thing that I would add is, I work for the Houston Area Women's Center, which is obviously an organization that provides services to domestic violence, sexual assault, and trafficking survivors. And because the experiences in those areas are unique, and a lot of times, people don't come forward. In our movement, I would estimate that many, many, many people in our movement are survivors themselves, and who are actively doing this work.
And all I want to say is, if we're going to give everybody a second chance, give them a real second chance. Give everybody, you have the right to have whatever job in the vocation, whatever you want, regardless of whatever you've done or wherever you've been, because that's what everybody's allowed to have in this world. And so the more we push on the idea that those are important, recognizable skills that come to the table when somebody's coming to a job, is just as valuable as any other skill that I'm going to bring to the table. So, I wish we would get past all of our, again, this falls in that nonsense category, and let's just get really honest about it and really show how we can have people come with everything they have to give and offer it up and do the work they want to do. I mean, that's just the bottom line for me. Yeah. All right. Oh, I'm supposed to finish out. That's me. First of all, can we just give a round of applause for our lovely, lovely guests? Yeah. I hope what you got out of tonight is a little bit deeper understanding of why the federal dollars matter, why we need them, why we want them, why we use them very well, what we do with them. But I really hope you recognize that they're stabilizing. They're the dollars that allow us to benchmark and move forward and do great work above and beyond that. That coordination and collaboration is key. Not a single organization does anything alone. And all of us layer and stack on top of each other to do the best we can with the least amount. I don't want to do it with the least amount anymore. I want to be to the levels that we're not having to piecemeal, so that we can stack more and more and more in the ways that it's necessary. I think it's important, and I hope you walk away knowing that we do really good work, really hard work, and really good work, and not just showing up for a paycheck. This is making sure that people go where they need to go and be who they want to be. And then lastly, that these are our people. The people we're talking about are our people. They're a brother, they're a sister, they're a community, they're somebody in our world, and we are supposed to care about our people. And so showing up every time to do that becomes very, very important as we live in a world that it feels like everybody's being kind of pulled apart. And then lastly, the biggest and most important thing is that everybody in this room walks away, everybody here, because I already know they already will say yes to every single thing that shows up, because when we say yes, we move forward. When we say no, we shut a door. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful, interesting. I'm so glad you all came out, and that's it. Yeah?